Welcome back to the co-sponsor podcast. Today I have an exciting guest, Randy Dyck from Vancouver, BC. Randy's 33 years in the industry, sold over 7,000 homes, has a very interesting life story, and he has actually a book coming out called The Underdog DNA, which we're excited to talk about today. So thank you so much for hopping on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Jesse.
Yeah. So why don't we just jump right into it and tell us a little bit about where you were before eXp and a little bit about your journey to like where you got here today.
Okay. Well, started in 1992, and I know that's really a long time ago for a lot of people, but 1992 is when I got licensed, and I worked at an independent brokerage at that time. And through the next 7, 8, 9 years, I became an owner there. And I just absolutely hated being an owner. I was so much better just making deals. And so in 2000, I moved the brokerage and whoever would come with me to Remax. And so I was at Remax from 2020 to 2018. And I absolutely loved Remax. It gave me everything I needed to do, and I was in an incredible pond of mega producers at the time. And I got to back up a little bit because when I was at the independent brokerage, I was the number one agent after my first 6 months. So I started in May, and I was the rookie of the year in that office, and then I became the big dog or the big fish in that office. And I thought, wow, this is pretty good. But I didn't realize I was just the big fish in a very small pond. And then went to Remax and I realized, gosh, I'm a small fish in a very big pond. And
Hmm.
that's what really drove me to crank up my business and my numbers. Because I was hanging around with guys that were doing 500 plus homes a year. And I realized, I'm pretty darn small selling these, 50, 60 homes a year. So I just leveled up. I really learned a lot from all of those big fish in that big pond, and got my business off and running when I was selling, 354, 450 units, 450 units a year, and building a team. And so I was there and I just absolutely loved it. But the question was, when did you move away from that to EXP, and why did you move? And
Hmm.
the why is probably more important than the when. One thing that I found as a team lead is that, and by the way, after selling the brokerage, I thought, gosh, I'm just going to be a team lead. I can really control and build and nurture agents that want to be around me, that want to be productive. And so I had many agents on my team that are doing 60, 70, 75, 80 deals a year. And we did 450 ends with just four agents on a team. So it was very
Wow.
productive agent per deal, or deals per agent. But what was happening is I became a bit of a training ground or a university for many, many agents. And so they would come, they would be on my team for a year, 2 years, 3 years. They'd learn, glean, and become, zero to heroes. And then they would walk in one day and say, Randy, you got 20 minutes? And I already knew how this saga was going to go. And they would say, thanks for everything. You've been so fantastic. I've learned so much. You've made me who I am. And I'm just going to go out and be your competitor now. And so I was getting really frustrated with this cycle of just training and then creating these great agents. And, at the end of the day, it wasn't always just about, training great agents. I want to really impact people. That was first and foremost. Anybody that would come through my office, how do they leave? Are they a better person? That was my goal. Can I help somebody become a better human being? First and foremost. Second, okay, let's get them into production and make them a very good agent. But this cycle of doing it over and over and over again was starting to weigh on me. And then what happened in 2018, I had again a couple of young agents come in, and I love really working with the young agents and creating something really magical about that for them. Legacy is a really important piece to my world, and I want to create legacy in somebody else's world as well. So that was a really important piece. These two young agents came in. Um, I got them both into really great numbers. One was doing, you know, um, 50, 55 ends within a short period of time, like 1 year, that kind of shortness of time. And the other
Mhm.
one, the husband, wife, The other one was now in the teens, 16, 17 deals. So they're making a very good living. And it was all because of a lot of what I had given them, the the team structure, the motivation, the accountability, discipline, all of that I taught on my team. And then they walked in one day again and said, "Thanks for everything." And out the door they went. And I was just like, oh my goodness, how many more of these am I going to do? How long am I going to keep training my competitors? And Phil Hahn called me in that the summer of 2018. And he said, "Hey, Randy, I think I know your pain." And I go, "You don't know my pain." "Yeah, I do know your pain." He was one of my referral partners from an area called Victoria. So about a 2 hour time frame away where we had people going back and forth between two cities. And he says, "Yeah, I know your pain." And I go, "What is it?" He says, "You're getting tired of training agents and having them become your competitors." And I said, "Yeah, I've got a plan for you. How would you like to get paid for every agent you coach, train, and make them a hero for the rest of your life?" And I said, "Well, that'd be great, but how would I do that? How do I lock them in for the rest of their life, the rest of their real estate life?" He says, "Well, there's this really cool brokerage called eXp." And I go, "What? ESP? No, eXp. Oh, eXp. Well, tell me more. How is this possible?" And then he laid out how eXp was, the model of eXp. And I'm going to tell you, within less than 40 minutes, I was convinced that that's where I needed to be.
Hmm.
I didn't understand the stock value. I just knew that I was training and helping agents become heroes in the marketplace. They would then become my competitor, and I would forever have them working against me, not with me or for me. And so that was such an easy decision to make. And not that I told Phil that out of the gate, but in my mind, I was going, oh my goodness, this is what I need to do. That I get paid for the rest of my life for helping somebody become a great agent. This is too good to be true. And I did say that to him. I said, "This is too good to be true. Put me in touch with somebody doing my volume, my numbers, so I can actually, cross-reference this and make sure that it's for real." So he sent me a couple of agents. One was Brent Grove. I got Brent on a crazy wine tour he was on, Brent. And so, anyways, I talked to a couple of agents, and then I went to the New Orleans EXP Con. I was already onboarding. I was always already convinced, but then when I went to the EXP Con in Orlando and just met all these great agents, it was just such a no-brainer to be an EXP agent. And I was the very first EXP agent in my area. So out of 4,500, 5,000 agents, I was number one as far as
Oh,
going to
wow.
EXP. And I was the number one agent in my MLS system for almost 2 decades.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was a really big move. I sometimes think of Thor with his big hammer, and it was like, boom. Who, what, Randy, what? Where'd he go?
Was it like a shock to the system when you announced you were making the move, and how that whole transition go down?
It was a pretty big shock to the system. And I had an amazing Remax broker owner. But, in hindsight, I think of why didn't he fight for me a little bit harder? I wasn't going to change my mind, but he put up no fight, which I was very surprised until I left. And then I was like enemy number one. Like I was really enemy number one. But it made quite an impact in the marketplace. Within 10 days, and this is really important, anybody that wants to attract agents, you're most attractive to attract within the first month you make that move. And so that very first week, we already start planning an event. Excuse me. And so about 10 days after I moved, I held my first event on eXp Explained. And I put about 75 people in the room. And of course, some of those said they would come next week. They're still not here. Isn't that crazy?
Yep. So you hosted the event and you started then. How big's your organization today?
Not big enough. I've personally attracted to tier one. Um, I believe it's 153 or 154 agents right now. Today, my FLA is 72, and my FLQA is 42 or 43. I haven't checked today, but it's in that 42 range. And my total organization is around 650.
Okay, 650 agents.
So I'm really heavy on the front end. I'm kind of envious of some of the other agents that have fewer FLAs and FLQs, but they've got thousands and thousands of agents in their org. So maybe that's just something I need to learn from some of them and how they've built out their tree.
I talked with Connor Steinbrook, and he said what he did is he identified one builder on every tier, and then just like poured into that agent on each level, and that
Mm,
really helped amplify his organization. But the thing is, and you know this from like attracting agents, it's like you never know who's going to be the one that like gets the bug and goes all in on it.
yeah. Yeah. Have you found a Jesse yet? Have you found a Randy yet? I mean, that's,
Exactly. Yeah, I
yeah.
had one agent that brought on 200 agents and then they left our organization. So,
Hmm.
um, I have I've got two other agents that have over 50. So I've always tried to like, rinse and repeat the wheel, but now we're
Yeah.
like into like level 7 in our organization. I just finally hit that in the last 12 months. So it's just like now finally starting to go. And I feel like, and maybe your experience is similar, but I feel like we're finally at like the baseline again, like where we're starting to see growth once again.
Hmm.
What was like when you first came over, like you've been through the evolution of eXp, like coming in 2018, like what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the company and in your own personal business since you've made the move?
Hmm. Well, I think we're just so, first of all, leadership is incredible today. It all starts with leadership, right? Everything rises and falls on leadership. And our leadership is incredible today. I just have so much respect and admiration for our leadership and how strong it is. So I'm going to say it's never been better and it's only getting better. So that's number one. Number two, just how well the machine runs on its own and how well it functions without, you know, squeaking and halting and screeching to a stop here and there. It just is really got a lot of fluidity to it and it works really, really well. Um, our training is just incredibly stronger. Our lead gen, like everything is just up, up, up. And technology is always the forefront, but it's just so good. And I think sometimes we get complacent and we get kind of like ho hum about stuff. But if you compare what we have to all the other brokerages, it's just outstanding. In fact, we just recently had a rally here in my area, and I invited a Remax agent to the rally. And the next day, they had a version of a rally. And she came to me later and said, "Oh my goodness, what a difference." And I wasn't sure how she was going to respond to that difference. But she said, "What I found with eXp's rally, it was all about the agent. How
Hmm.
can we help the agent grow? How can I collaborate? What can I teach you so you're better at making more sales and feeding your family and having a better life?" And then I went to the Remax event, and all they did was talk about how good they are and what corporates doing here and their marketing, advertising spend there. And it was so corporate, and EXP was so agent centric versus corporate centric.
Yep. What do you think was on top of that, like, did you feel that way at Remax? Like, what was the biggest difference between coming from Remax into EXP? Because I
Mm.
know exactly what you're saying. I was just at Buffini Bold Predictions, then I went to the top 250 at EXP, and then I was just down at the Jared James Advance. And there's a dramatic difference. And you start to normalize what we're in because we're here every day. So you almost have to go back and like give yourself a little
Mm.
checkpoint. So what was the
Yeah.
biggest difference and shift that you saw making that move?
Well, again, coming back or if I go back to Remax, when they were, this is crazy, when they would bring on a new agent and the new agent would say, why should I come here? I remember the managing broker and the broker, they would just go like this and they would point to the balloon.
Oh yeah.
And they would say, it's the balloon. The balloon will get you business. The balloon will help you, attract people. And all they worry about is the brand and how high they can keep pushing this thing called the brand. But we know that the brand is us. And that's such a shift that I recognize that I am the brand. The Remax brand or a brand doesn't do anything for me because I'm the brand. It might give some confirmation to a stranger, but I think the more I can, build my own personal brand, the better I am. So there was that, and it was just a lot of. Whenever I went to a conference at the Remax events, it was just a lot of hype about what they're doing on the corporate level. Um, and it just and it wasn't to help the agent. It wasn't agent centric. It was just always to elevate the brand because who are they selling to? They're selling to the franchise owners. That's who they have to motivate and pump because they're relying on the franchise owner to go and do the work.
Yep.
Where eXp, it's about the agent and how do they elevate the agent? Because the agent ultimately is the attraction, not the franchise owner.
Yep. Yeah, I do lots of these podcasts and I notice like almost every agent on here has the exact same story of like I was the number one agent at this brokerage, I was hitting this level, I was having this pain point and like success leaves clues, but it is a true testimony that EXP is where the pros go to grow. Um, what's like something outside of like the brand? Because we know that there's the brand play brokerages that really hone in on that, but like what's something else that agents think really matters but actually doesn't?
What matters at my old brokerage that doesn't really matter?
Just in general, like what is something that agents think really matters but actually doesn't?
Well, one of the things that I found at the other brokerage I was at, which is Remax, was the competitiveness in the office, and it was downright dirty and mean, and there was no collaboration, which was
Mm,
such a foreign piece when I showed up at even at New Orleans. I was going like, these guys want to share everything with me? Like that's unusual. So that was one of the really big shifts to the collaboration piece. And in fact, when I'm out recruiting now or attracting agents, they don't know why I'm giving all of my secrets away to them. Like, why would you do that? Why are you giving this to me? Because I want you to win. I want you to be successful. And by the way, you got to still execute on it.
exactly.
Like I can give you the entire playbook, but you got to go execute on it. Show me you can execute on me, then I might be a little bit more nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but what did I notice at man, it's almost 6.5 years now. I'm kind of forgetting all that negative stuff that I had in my head. But I think it's just, we're so agent centric, and I just didn't feel it was agent centric. It was always broker centric at my previous brokerage. How could they win? How could they make more money? Um, how could they almost um, keep us down? Because they didn't want top producers. They wanted a couple top producers to be the attraction to their office. But the more business I did, the more I cost them.
Hmm.
And that bothered them. I know it bothered them because I was putting their whole system through a lot of motion, 450 ends, right?
Yep.
And so that was costing them dough every time. Oh, geez, Randy's going to do that. Well, how are we going to manage that money, so to
Yep.
speak? Yeah.
I always call that the suppression model. Because like
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if you hit a level that they can't handle anymore, there is no incentive for them to help you grow further. So if you look at like a lot of these other brokerages, let's just say Fathom, for example, the minute you go beyond 22, you're like on a negative ROI as an
Mm,
agent. So there's no incentive for them to get you above 22.
right.
So they know as soon as you hit that number, you're gone. So what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to hold you down.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I really noticed when I came to EXP is my business exploded, and it's because there was no ceiling on anything.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is there a strategy that's working right now for agents that agents aren't using in their business?
Well, we talked a little bit about this about scar to sold, and it's really about understanding, I think, human behavior. I think, as I shared a little bit earlier, I'm going to a door-to-door conference to speak to door-to-door sales people. And they're not selling real estate, they're selling alarm systems and whatever. But I think that's the power. We've lost the art of belly to belly,
Mhm.
voice to voice sales. And we want to hide behind computers and text and this and that. And I think the art of understanding and communicating clearly and unpacking things and really understanding how human behavior works is really the magic behind sales. And I think we've lost that art.
Yep, I
And
agree
so
with that.
that's why I don't, what's that?
I said I agree with that.
And I think that's what will keep us relevant too, because if we lose that, what's the point of us being here? We're pretty soon we're just going to have an AI doing it for us in some way, shape, or form. But the ability, my ability to earn was my ability to communicate. If I could communicate better, I earned more. If I could understand and hear, listen, and feel, I could earn more. And it wasn't about my services at that point. It wasn't about, I do this better than the next person. As soon as I started justifying, I would lose that potential client because when you're justifying, you're trying to give them a reason why they should use you, which is some of the techniques I was taught early on: chase, convince, close, chase, convince, close, chase, convince, close, which works, but it's exhausting. And
Hmm.
when I learned to reverse engineer that, which then I had clients chasing, convincing, and closing me, was when I really unlocked my full potential. And that's how I could scale as well, because it now wasn't about me spending more hours doing that. It was them coming to me. And I call that the trifecta approach to prospecting. And so, your question was, how do we actually be better and what's new and happening? I'm going to go analog. I'm going old school. Be a better communicator.
Yeah. How how did you develop this trifecta approach, and like what was like the turning point that you went from like the chase to close to like having
Mm,
clients chase you and close you?
yeah.
That's a really key switch in your business.
Yeah. And by the way, we could do this trifecta through digital today too. It doesn't have to be analog, but I'm going to share a couple analog stories because this is how it was developed. Um, I was working, these 80-hour weeks, just going hard. I was going, how do I go from 60, 70 deals to 150? I don't have any more time in the day. So how do I get people to come to me? And so I started realizing, okay, this is who I am. This is my passion lanes. This is what I love to do for fun, whether it be play hockey, kite surf, uh, coach my daughter's ball, whatever it was, or I love investing in real estate. So I was, okay, so who am I? Who's Randy? What are my passion lanes? Because if I work in my passion lanes, it's not work
Mm.
and it's natural, it's easy. And not only that, but I can communicate it clearly. I can communicate it with a lot of um, affection and a lot of energy because it's in my passion lane. So then I go, okay, so who fits my passions? Who's the avatar? I'll use an example. One of my avatars, and this came by accident, I'm I'm coaching my daughter's softball. And I was going to the ballpark, 4 or 5 nights a week coaching. And I would literally go from my gorilla suit, my suit, I would strip off in the back of my vehicle. I'd put on my ball uniform, and my wife would bring the child to the park. And then we'd walk into the park and I'd go coach the team. And then after that, I'd go back to my vehicle, put my jumpsuit back on, and out I would go for another appointment. And one day I'm walking and I go, I'm here 4 or 5 nights a week. These kids are my avatar. Well, actually, they're my sub avatar. Their real avatar is the parent.
Hmm.
Okay, if I'm here, I love being here. This is my passion. I'm here 4 or 5 nights a week. I'm really exposing myself. I'm not a secret person. I'm out coaching, I'm on the ball field. How do I get all the parents to say, I want to use Randy as my next realtor for buying or selling? I'm going to sponsor the entire league. So the entire city. I went to them. I want to be the title sponsor. I want my name on every ballpark. I want to be on the website. I want the canteen to sell my hot dogs. So they just put a sticker, my team sticker on the hot dog. And I want to meet with every players, like all the players, all the coaches, all the parents at the beginning of the season. So I'd sit down with them all. By the way, the 2010 Olympic Games. This is a
Oh,
torch
cool.
from the 2010 Olympic Games. So I bring this along, I pass it around to all the girls. I say, maybe someday you want to play in the Olympics. So I just edify them for being here and pump them up. Because if you get the kids, the parents are easy. Mommy, daddy, we're selling our house. Yeah. Are we going to use that guy named Randy? Like they're the most powerful negotiators in any house.
That's so
Right?
true.
Right? So I would sit with the kids and I got them to love me and like me. I brought great energy. Then I'd meet with the coaches and then I'd meet with the parents. And I said, I'm so proud of you as parents to have your kids here. Like this is amazing, off the couch, not in the mall. The life lessons they're going to learn here is unbelievable. And I get quiet. I said, but I need your help. I need your help. I'm going to give your daughter's team this much money. You decide how much it is as a if you're going to do this. I gave $500 at the time. And I said, for every referral or anybody that you introduce to me, I'm going to send another $500 to your daughter's team. And I built contests around that. I had girls' teams calling me up and say, hey, Randy, we're doing a baller drive to raise money. Do you have flyers you want us to deliver in neighborhoods? Like, so I would sell 35, 40 homes every year by just going to the ballpark.
That's wild.
Reverse engineered. They would chase me, convince me, close me at the ballpark. Yeah, yeah, I can meet with you next week. What's Tuesday or Wednesday like? Good. Well, actually, I think we're playing ball on Tuesday. How about Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. Okay. So that's just one example. Another avatar was builders that I had. Another avatar was investors. And today with Meta, you can virtually build that avatar and and then build the commission river. I call it commission river, not prospecting lane. Commission river. That's what it is. They flow right to you. Jesse, have you ever been to a luxury hotel with a lazy river?
Of course.
Right. You get in the tube and you float down this lazy river. The only way you get out of that river is at the stairs, right?
Yeah.
So guess what? You just wait for them at the stairs. They jump in the commission river and they come right to you and you say, how can I help you? That's $20,000 a commission. Thank you very much.
So how do you do that with like builders and developers?
Well, with builders and developers, so um, again, so first of all, you have to want to work with those people and you have
Hmm.
to have the chops. You have to know the language. You have to have the pedigree and all that. You got to make sure that you're that guy. Because if you're a fake, they see right through you. So if I'm a beach bum, if I'm a true beach bum and I show up in a three-piece suit, you're going to recognize that I'm not really truthful. Because
Hmm.
truth is everything. Trust is everything. So if I am a beach bum, I should show up to sell your house in my beach shorts, my board shorts, my flip-flops, and my tank top with my surfboard strapped to my car, right? Like be who you are. So same thing with the builders. I had to know that I was really engaged. I need to know, what it took to build a house, what it looked like, and then I need to connect with the builders in such a way that they saw me as their real agent, and then I would build out prospecting leads. So I join the Builders Association.
Mm.
I would go to city council meetings and show up there and shake all their hands. Hey, awesome. So what are you getting approved today? Like you just have to be where they are. You have to build out that prospecting lane, that commission river. And it's very simple. It's not that complicated, especially when it's your passion.
Yeah, exactly.
Agent attraction's the same way, buddy.
Yep. I have one personal question about that torch. Is that the actual torch?
Um, what happened for the 2010 Olympic Games is that they started running across Canada like a couple months before the Olympics.
Mm.
Because the Olympics were in Vancouver, which is phenomenal. It was so fun. But they would, every day there'd be like, I don't know, 20 runners that would run they all got a torch. They'd apply for it and then they'd run with this torch for like, I don't know, a couple kilometers or something. And then the next person would go. And so there's quite a few of these around. And I bought one online.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were talking about Brett and the wine tour, was that like the Okanagan Valley wine tour?
Yes. The Okanagan wine tour. Yes.
I
No, 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 no. Brent was in actually no, Brent was on the phone in Napa when I
oh,
called him back in 2018, the summer of 2018. I said, "Hey Brent, you don't know me. I'm Randy Dyck. Phil Hahn gave me your number, and I'm thinking about eXp, and I just want to know your experience and how is it going for you because I've never heard of this company before." And of course, Brent just went off. Poof.
nice. I used to work for a company that owned a bunch of wineries up in Okanagan Valley. Mission
Ah,
Hills, Cedar
mhm.
Creek, Checkmate Artisanal Winery.
Yes,
Anthony Monvandel is the owner. He
beautiful wineries.
he owns Mike's and White Claw. So
Yeah.
huge
And
wine.
Corona. Doesn't he own Corona too?
They're yeah, the distribution rights in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
different industry up there with the alcoholic beverage world, but that's what I did before real estate.
Wow. Well, I think it was Corona that really made him the money to do all these wineries.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked for that company actually in 2010, and I remember they filmed the commercial for the Olympics at the Mission Hills Winery up in the bell tower, and so I was like very tied into the Olympics
Wow.
at that time.
Wow.
So
You
um,
know, for anybody that knows wine, um, I've been to Napa too, which has got amazing wineries, but the Okanagan is amazing. The views of the lake, as you know,
yeah, oh yeah,
they all have restaurants. Most of them have restaurants in the wineries, which is phenomenal. So, anyways,
yeah.
if I could send somebody to which wine country, I would send them to the Okanagan.
Oh yeah, it's crazy because it's literally right above the Yakima region in Washington. So like the climate's like identical. No one ever thinks like Canadian wines, but when
Yeah.
if you ever go there, I was like blown away. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But shifting gears a little bit, what type of agent like thrives in your guys' world?
In the eXp world?
Hmm.
Well, I mean, an icon agent absolutely crushes it. There's just no better place for an icon agent to be. And it's the best award in real estate, the Icon Agent Award. Like, gosh, I chased awards at Remax over and over and over again, got my photo up, got a little plaque, and I thought, awesome. And I went and did it all over again, and that's all I got. At eXp, yes, you get the recognition and all of that, but you get $16,000 in stock, which is just crazy in my mind. But to me, that's the agent that really should be here. Agents that thrive are, I mean, they thrive. Anybody that wants to grow their business, which is our tagline, where the pros go to grow, wants to grow
Hmm.
their business. But I even find that it's a really great place for new agents if they know how to lean in.
Hmm.
They got to be able to lean in. And I say, I'll help anybody that leans in. But I do have agents that have come and then they disappear and they leave. And I phone them up and say, hey, like, where are you? Well, you didn't help me. And I go, well, you never reached out to me. Like at some point, you got to take responsibility. You know, extreme ownership is how I live. And if you can't take ownership, how can I help you?
Yep. Do you have any stories of any agents that you can think of off the top of your head that came in and saw massive growth?
Oh man, I got so many. I've got an agent right now. Um, Nav Kala is his name. And Nav joined and he was just like 10, 12, 14 deals. That was kind of his game. And came in and his production exploded into that 25, 26, 27 icon agent year after year. Then he wanted to build a team. So I helped him build a team. And I said, "Are you sure?" Because team is a whole different animal and responsibility, accountability, and your production, your personal production is going to go down too. Now, I can almost guarantee that just because you got so many people that need your attention. So he did that. He ran a mega team for a while and was doing okay. And I've since helped him pare that down to just being a solo agent again. And he's been number one in our province a couple months in a row here now. So he's just
Mm.
crushing it. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting to see the cycle of like an agent go from like solo to team to mega team, then want to go back to solo agent? Like, what do you attribute that to? That just like the income by
Mm.
doing less work?
Yes. Jesse, I don't know about you, but most years I would have made more net as a single agent with a really strong admin team.
Oh yeah.
And so I wasn't building a team to just be about the net. I really wanted to serve people and build legacy. So I'll maybe tap into that a little bit here, and then I'll come back to your question. But my definition of leadership is at the end of the equation, but it's about legacy, creating legacy in somebody else's life, and allowing them to leverage everything that I've done in my life to better their world and build legacy. And if I've done that, then I can say I'm a leader. So it's the L3 model. I call it the L3 model where if I'm creating legacy and helping somebody create legacy in their life and they've been able to leverage everything out of me, then and I get to leverage them too. Leverage isn't a bad word, but then
Hmm.
I can actually say I'm a true leader. So that's really why I was always running a team because I wanted to build legacy in other people's lives. And I had so much to give. Like, take it. Like, here it is. Just take everything from me that I've learned over these 30 years or 20 years or whatever it is. Um, but to come back to your original question, and I share this. This is one of my webinars. I talk about if I'm a good coach for you. I talk about the feast and the famine and the three stages of real estate that I went through. And stage one was I was a solo agent without an assistant, working crazy at long hours, those 80-hour weeks, 90-hour weeks. I was doing pretty good. I was doing 4 deals a month on average, but I was exhausted, tired, and I was never home. That was the regrettable Randy.
Mm.
Stage two, I had a good friend tap me on the shoulder, say, "Randy, you're much better in this. You need to get help to do all the stuff in between the hunt and the feast. Hunting, you're making deals. You're helping people buy and sell. You're giving good advice, but you're belly to belly with people, helping them in some way, shape, or form in real estate. The feast is the completion, it's the possession, it's escrow. And this is where you are also making a ton of money. In fact, the highest hourly wage that we earn as agents is really, or it should be, at the feast at the closing table, because this is where we get more bang for buck. We can close an extra one, two, or three deals through referrals. And we treat the feast not like it should. At least I did that for years. But, anyways, stage two, friend tapped me on the shoulder, said, "You're much better in this. You should have somebody taking care of all that stuff in between the hunt and the feast." And that's when I hired my first assistant. And I said, "Okay, if you think it's so important, help me hire because I don't know who to hire." He says, "No problem. I'll help you." And I said, "Oh, by the way, I want to gain 30% of my time back. I want 30% more time, and I want to earn 30% more money because I needed to justify why I was paying somebody." Well, I did get 30% of my time back, but I doubled my commissions, my GCI. I doubled it. So that's stage two. And then stage three is when I transitioned to what I call a micro team. The micro team. And the micro team is, for me, it's 2 to 6 agents. The Navy SEALs, they'll never have anybody lead more than 6 people. Beyond 6 people, you lose, that connectivity and that ability to really lead. So I believe it's between 2 and 6 to run a really strong micro team. And my most productive net numbers were always when I was three to five agents,
Hmm.
3 to 5 agents on myself. So then I thought, gosh, I'm pretty good at running a micro team. I don't know about you, Jesse, but sometimes when you're pretty good at something, you think you're good at everything. Not the case, not for me, anyways. And I moved to a mega team concept because I had all of these agents coming to me saying, I want to join you at eXp. I want to join you at eXp. But they wanted to be on my team because they thought I was the savior to their business.
Yep.
And I was turning people away to eXp because I didn't want them on my team because I knew they weren't a fit for me. And then I woke up one day and I thought, if I was a mega team, they could all come to my mega team. And I restructured everything, built a mega team, had 28 agents, and just about lost my mind.
Hmm.
Hated it. And I think running a mega team, it's the 1% of the 1% of the 1% that can really do it well. I'm not gifted in that area. And so I one day woke up and said, no more mega team. I gave everybody on my team 2 months notice that on this date, this team will not exist as it is. And I don't know if you're in that room at EXP it was the top influencers, top producers. I think it was in Vegas. And I stood up and I said, I don't want to be in this room next year. I don't want to be in this. It was just top, I think top producers. I do not want to be one of the members in this room next year. I was so convinced I didn't want to be in production anymore. And I made that shift and boom, I was. So now I have one other agent that I spill business to. If he can't keep up with it, then I refer it out to some of the other agents that used to be on my team that I really trust the way they do their business. And so that whole cycle, and your question was, this whole cycle, I think a lot of people think that running a team is pretty glamorous. It's the way to make a lot of money. And we just know that running a team is extremely challenging, difficult, and the net number is often even single digit. Like my last year running a mega team, it was like 8, 9%. That's not worth doing it for 8, 9%.
No. So where are you planning on taking your organization over the next like 12 to 24 months?
Hmm. Um, oh man, I feel really blessed. I found an amazing individual that sees things so differently than I do. In fact, he's not even licensed yet. Comes
Really?
from a different world of offers and of creating funnels to build business. And so I got a goal of in the next couple of years of 10,000.
Nice.
Yeah. And co-sponsorship is certainly going to make that a lot easier.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like co-sponsorship and is like really opened up. I was telling my wife this last night. I said, before I was like really like kind of like did my own thing at EXP. And then I told myself this year, I said, you know what? I'm going with the co-sponsorship. I said, I'm going to get 100% involved with everything. I'm going to go to all the events. I'm going to do all the networking. I'm going to pour in and see what happens. And it has been a complete game changer. And co-sponsorship's really what opened that up.
Well, we wouldn't be talking without that, right?
Exactly. That's my
Which
point.
is which is just amazing.
Every single guest that I've had on this show for the most part has came from like just meeting people at different events. And to your point, also saying like everybody's willing to share and help out. Like we have financial reasons for that. But the reality is like even my partners at the other brokerages, they were never telling me anything. It was a secret society. So if somebody did want to connect with you or learn more, where would they go?
RandyDick.com is my website, or just find me on Instagram or Facebook, Randy C. Dick. Dyck. Dyck is the way my Dick Dyke. You can call me anything. Just call me. Just call me.
Call me maybe.
Yes, that's right. By the way, that singer is grew up 6 miles away from where I live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kelly Rae Jepsen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Do you actually know her or just know that she was in the area?
I've seen her around. I have friends that know her personally. Yeah, but I don't know her personally.
When you mentioned funnels, are
Yeah.
you familiar with ClickFunnels?
Yes.
So Russell Brunson lives right around the corner from me, and his
Mm.
office is literally at the end of my neighborhood.
Wow.
I live in Eagle, Idaho, so now everyone online knows. I've never said where I live. They all think I live in Arizona or Oregon because that's where I was from. But no one in the world knows where Eagle is. It's a suburb of Boise, but it's a real interesting place. Very, very interesting.
Boise, Idaho. Wow.
Yep. It's
What is Boise like?
it's incredible. It's high desert. People typically think of like all snow, but that's more Coeur d'Alene up north by Canada. Boise, it's just very safe, friendly. There's no job market here. So, but the median sales price is over 600. So a lot of people flooded out here, like pre-COVID actually, between 2014. The market peaked in 2020,
Mm.
about 14,000 home sales in Boise, and then
Wow.
now we're down to about 7,000. But like even Eagle, where I live, the median price point's about 1.1, and it blows my mind. I like look at this house that I live in. I bought it for 1.1. It sold 4 years ago for like 600. And it just that's how fast this market exploded.
Wow.
And houses in my neighborhood sell. It's just it's the weirdest thing. I've never seen mixed communities. And so seeing a house that sells for like 800 and then you go 2 blocks over and they're 4 million is like mind blowing to me.
Huh.
And then
That
across the
is
streets
interesting.
like Subway, Wendy's, and Taco Bell.
Huh. And so when you travel to, like we're just in Phoenix,
Mhm.
where do you drive to or fly from or
Oh,
from
the Boise airport.
direct to Vegas or direct to Phoenix?
Yep,
Okay.
there's directs to most. There's like Dallas, Phoenix, Boise, or Portland, Phoenix, Chicago.
Okay.
I just flew to Orlando, no directs there. I just flew to Nashville, no directs there. So there is still like, room to grow, and the airport's
Yeah.
been just growing like crazy. There's just so many tech people here that moved here
Mm.
from California. So they sell their houses down there for, 5, 10, 20 million. They move here and they think buying something for $2 million is the cheapest thing in the world. So it's just there's a lot of tech people here actually.
Interesting. I have a saying called halfers. We had a lot of halfers in my marketplace. They would sell for 5 million and then move, an hour down the highway
Hmm.
and buy a mansion for half the money. Halfers.
Yep.
Not heifers, not heifers, if you know what a heifer is, but a
Oh
halfer.
yeah, Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing here. And they just think they're getting a steal because they're getting, acreage with a beautiful house, and then, it is what it is. And you can
And
still
clean
get,
living.
yeah, oh, it's very clean, it's very safe. Um, yeah, it's the least litigious state in the United States.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the insurance is the cheapest here too. We have no natural disasters, very
Huh.
little crime. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's a great place. I like it. But thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it. And are you going to be at eXp Con in a couple weeks?
Absolutely. We'll see each other there, I'm sure.
Absolutely. We'll see you there. Thank you.